Hey everybody, this is Doc Mack from the Galloping Ghost Arcade out in Brookfield, Illinois. We are here today, what day is it? Wednesday, October 2nd, 2019. I am joined by none other than former Gamer of the Year, Pete Hahn, for today's podcast. We have with us special guest, Doug Fox. Thank you for being here.
My pleasure.
Integral part of making so many of the games work here at the Galloping Ghost Arcade and Galloping Ghost Pinball. One of the master techs.
That's what I am?
Yeah.
Cool.
It's your official title, at least when you're here.
We were talking about that master tech status last night, me and Ken.
Is there a minor tech?
No, there is only, you can only achieve the master tech.
Oh, okay.
But we'll get to that momentarily. First, let's start with some news from the goings-on at the Galloping Ghost Arcade and Pinball and productions and the garage and reproductions. Let's start with high scores, I think.
Okay. Well, let me go back to just the last podcast we did last week. 1 week ago, we've had six scores since then. So Andrew, who's should be no stranger to our high-scoring community, he's set a new Colony 7 record, 408,750 points. And he shows no signs of slowing down since winning Gamer of the Year. And he set that one on Monday night, I believe.
Colony 7 is such an awesome game from Taito.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely a little bit like Missile Command, a bit of Liberator.
Definitely got like protect the assets at the bottom feeling going on. Was that a T20 game last year, not this year? 2 years ago, right?
2 years ago.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, Andrew, great job on that. Good to see that. We had Mike Waters set a new Dungeons & Dragons Tower of Doom house record, 61,736. He was in town for just a couple days over the weekend and had time to set that score, so that was nice to see. We have a new house record on Major Havoc, the Warps Allowed track. Jamie Tibbetts, 1,012,700 points on Major Havoc. So I know he's got both the Warps and no Warps track now, so he is the Major of Major Havoc. We got John Liming, who's got a few scores lately, actually. Recently he did Gamshara maybe a month or two ago, and now he's got Ninja Spirit, 627,800. Very nice job, John. We'll keep an eye on your progress. You've been doing more and more scores lately. And also we have Massies, who just a week ago did Twin Eagle and now did Twin Eagle 2 this Monday. 1,234,460 on Twin Eagle. That was a pretty long-standing score. I think Rocco set that score back in 2013, so it stood for like 6 years.
It's awesome.
Yep.
I think that's a very underrated game. I think I don't know why more people don't put time on it.
Yeah, it's is it because it's in a 2-in-1?
I don't know. It plays the same whether it's in a 2-in-1 or not. It's still a great game.
Yeah.
And then you also had Art of Fighting.
Yep.
You put up 707,000.
Yeah, that's it is a 1 credit clear, and it's
1 CC.
yeah, it's that's about 9 or 10 perfects out of the 16 rounds or 16 rounds that you have to win. So that's scores getting up there. I'm pretty happy with that. I'll see if anyone can beat that before I try to up that. I'll probably leave it like that for a bit.
That's awesome. What are you focusing on next?
It's kind of hard to say. I was thinking about trying Art of Fighting 2. I was thinking about maybe going to T&K 3. We had it up front, and it kind of sparked my interest on it. So I've been kind of all about the rotary stick games. So maybe a T&K 3 or a Victory Road or something like that. Then there's always Final Fight that's in the background of something I always want to get back to. So one of those. Always something to play.
It's awesome. We had the 1-Up Arcade, for Final Fight, that just ended. The Arcade Wars, which very happy to announce that we walked away with that victory.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, some great scores. Brian Shillo did 2.6 million. Aaron did almost 1.5 million. And we had James put up over 1 million, so that was great to see.
Coming in at the last few minutes and
Yeah.
extending that average score, definitely very much appreciated that everybody put in scores for that. The guys over at the One Up are just, they're so good.
Yep.
And happy that we've won 2 in a row now.
So let's see if we can. The new game hasn't been announced yet, but the announcement will probably come later today.
Yeah.
So
Anxious for it. I wanted. Can we three-peat?
that'd be nice.
We'll find out. We've had so much stuff going on. Last week we had our Street Fighter 3 Third Strike tournament. Larry Brockie, who had put up that arm wrestling score earlier, he came in second place.
Yep.
He went against Sunk Delgado, Will Searle, who won the tournament.
Very good, nice grand final match. It was very good.
It was great.
Sean versus Urian. It's not a match you see a lot of.
No. Very impressive. Larry's Sean is very impressive.
Mm-hmm.
It was definitely a matchup that Will didn't know that well. So very interesting. And thank you to everybody that tuned in for the stream on that. Definitely a lot of fun. And we look forward to a lot more fighting game tournaments on a regular basis. We used to host them constantly.
More regularly. Now it's a little more to set up. We got the direct feed, and but yeah, I'd love to do more of them.
Yeah. I had at the swap meet that we had on Saturday, we had people asking for another Mortal Kombat tournament. So maybe we'll do an MK2 tournament soon. It's I know we'll have. We've been getting so many people asking about Combat Con or Shang Tsung's Fight Night, and are we going to be doing it? And again, I've been hearing from so many of the actors asking what's going on, and been saying for a while that we'll let everybody know soon.
As soon as we know.
As soon as we know, we'll let it be known. So stay tuned for that. Anxious to do something. We've been talking about doing a Williams Valley Midway Developers Day for a while. So much going on all at once, and it's the pacing of everything. We've got so many events coming up right now. There's the International Video Game Hall of Fame.
That's this weekend?
That is this weekend out in Iowa. You are being inducted as a...
So are you.
I am as well. So is Brian Colin.
Yeah.
So very anxious to... it's an honor, to say the least.
Yep.
So I'll be traveling out there. I know, unfortunately, you're not going to be able to make it.
I'm not going to make it. I am going to be with my family. My brother's getting married. I'm a groomsman, so I will be with my family that day, and I do apologize that I can't make it, but it is a true honor to be chosen for this. So.
It's awesome. Very well deserved, Pete, to say the least. Same with Brian Colin. He's made so many amazing arcade games and video games over the last 30 years. Great that he's getting recognized, and stuff like Rampage, Arch Rivals, Xenophobe. I think he was such an easy choice as to be inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Definitely, yeah.
So after the Video Game Hall of Fame, we've got a Mortal Kombat tournament coming up with the Haunted House.
And that's just the week after, yeah.
That's the next week. Then we got Pinball Expo coming up.
The week after that.
The week after that. That Saturday at Pinball Expo, we're going to be hosting a tournament on the Saturday, just like we did last year. Blonde Bunny walked away with the belt. We'll see who is going to win this year. We haven't picked the games yet, but it's going to be interesting. Also, that Saturday, we're going to host a special Pinball Expo game reveal. Kind of like Monday Mystery, but it's going to be exclusive at least for a month to Pinball Expo. Like, you can play it that weekend only at that show, and then it'll just be gone. And you'll know it'll be in the vaults, but who knows when it'll return.
I don't know.
Who knows?
Who knows?
What else? I know we've got other events. I know we've got American Horror Scoring. On Halloween, we're doing a Flip Frenzy pinball tournament down at Galloping Ghost Pinball. As we've got a lot of great horror-themed pinball. I think we're going to do a double American Horror scoring, one at the arcade and one at pinball.
Nice.
I've been thinking a lot about what's going on as far as Gamer of the Year down at pinball. So I think we got to get some tournaments rolling and see who's doing what and who's really stepping up. And
is there going to be a dedicated pinball Gamer of the Year?
There will be a dedicated pinball Gamer of the Year.
Cool.
So a second title.
And that's going to be crowned on the anniversary as well, or is it a separate thing?
That will be crowned on the anniversary, March 1st. It's March 1st.
I think so. The anniversary of pinball opening, not Galloping Ghost Arcade's anniversary.
No.
Okay.
It's August 13th.
Okay.
So it'll be interesting. Other things that we have, again, we'll have more developers days, and stay tuned to our Facebook and for more event stuff coming up soon.
Yeah, there's always something coming up. Probably doing another swap meet before the holiday. It's going to be probably early December, I'm guessing, though. People have been asking about that already. So yeah, just hold tight for the announcements, and when we know, we'll put them out there.
Again, we've got Doug Fox here today. Feel free to post questions as we go in the stream chat, either on Facebook or Twitch. We'll be happy to ask Doug those. For those that don't know Doug, he is been a tech throughout the arcade industry for how long?
50 years.
50 years.
Yep.
Oh my God.
It's a while.
Since I was 15.
Wow. Unbelievable. So we've got so many questions for Doug, so again, feel free. We had one question already asked in the stream chat. Who was that?
This was asked by Stephen Lucas for last podcast, and I missed it. But the question is expansion related. If a big box store vacated its space nearby and its landlord tried to lure Galloping Ghost to move there, given it has much more room than the current spot at a similar rent, would you bite?
I listen to all offers and such, obviously, but I'm pretty happy having us here in Brookfield. It would have to be, I don't know, probably not, but we definitely always welcome offers like that.
I mean, Brookfield's been good to us, so.
They've been great.
Yeah.
We have more room coming. I know the arcade right now, it's back to getting a little bit tight. The Canton expansion should be helpful. We're supposed to be getting the keys any day. I've had my first walkthrough, but it'll be nice to have the actual keys and start rolling ahead and
getting our stuff in there.
Getting the stuff in there and start construction and tear that wall down. It will definitely change the flow of the arcade for sure. Yet again, people often already saying it's a labyrinth.
It is. It is.
People getting lost in it. This will only make it more complicated. There's still a business behind the second and third buildings. Once we get that, there's that small garage that's there as well. Once we have all those, then we should be at max capacity. The only way to expand it at that point would be to put the second floor on. We're still floating around 212 games in the vaults. Buying has really slowed down. So
you said that. You said you pretty much have most of what you want.
There's a good dozen or so games that we'd still get, and there's a few things that we pick up just as we see them, because why not? I think 1,000 machines is possible for that space, though. So, Xlodar saying we should move to Canada.
I don't know. I like it pretty good here, but Canada's nice too.
Get a lot of people that travel in from Canada.
We do.
Cloud Z saying he's watching from Ireland. It's awesome. Thank you all for joining in. So, again, if you have questions for Doug Fox, let them be known. Doug has worked for over 50 years fixing arcade machines, and you know that's really one of the unsung sides of the arcade scene, is the people that fix these machines. Like, everybody comes in and enjoys them. We always talk about how the people that made the games is such a huge element, but if there wasn't people there to fix them, these games would all be gone.
There's nothing for anyone to enjoy. Well, I have a question for you. What do you consider yourself more comfortable with, pinball or video?
Everything.
You're comfortable with everything?
Pinball, video, actually slot machines, shoot boxes, anything except vending. I don't do vending.
Okay.
I could, but I have no parts and I don't want to.
Okay.
How did you get into it?
When I was 6 years old, my dad bought me an electromechanical bongo pinball machine, and within 6 months I had it working at 6 years old. I realized troubleshooting was where I should be. Fixing these games is usually pretty easy. Troubleshooting is the hard part. And it just went from there.
Cool.
Electrical engineering degree from Champaign College, that helped a lot. And learning, reading, doing.
Do you say the hands-on part is the more important part, or the school part?
No, I read manuals every night. Some people read novels, I read manuals.
Okay.
Because if you don't know what you're doing, you can't do anything. So it's both. And some of the stuff here that I get to fix, there are no manuals.
Some of them are from Japan and it's in a different language.
So you have to rely on your knowledge of general principles and other similar games, and sometimes luck.
There's so many games that don't have, like, where do you go? Like, you're working on a rare game. I know so many people that the more rare the machine, the more concerning it is to even touch it and fuss with it, because if it's down, if you make it worse.
I don't know.
You don't make it worse?
I don't know that I've ever done that in my career, because if I do, whose problem is that? Mine. And I don't want to make problems for myself. If I'm not sure, sometimes you guess. Sometimes you do, but I don't guess to the point of making things worse.
Got it.
Has it happened? I don't, not that I know of. But if I came to you and you said, fix this game, and it was at a slight problem, and I destroyed it, you wouldn't be happy.
No.
And I wouldn't be happy, so that's why I don't do that.
We have a question in Facebook. Any particular game or hardware that comes to mind that's harder to fix than normal?
There's two.
I
The
think-
Laserdisc games
Yeah.
and the Vector games.
Those Geo whatever monitors?
Geo 8.
Those are your favorites, right? I saw your eyes roll there.
Nobody's favorite. And I know everything about these, and I can't keep them running. It's just a terrible, terrible design, and it was never designed to last 30 years.
Yeah.
Or 35 years. So you do what you can.
Some of the Vector stuff, like Tempest and
That's different though.
Yeah.
Those are those Wells Gardner monitors. They're pretty good. It's the Ampliphones and the Electrohomes that are miserable.
how many how many machines do you think you've fixed?
Here,
Well, how many machines do you think you've fixed here, and then how many machines do you think you've fixed
Total.
total?
thousands total, or more, because it's my whole lifetime. Here, I bet it's 60% of all your games I've had my hands on at some point. So that's 500?
Yeah, about that.
500. Some simple and some horrible.
We have a question from XLoadRX. Silent Hill has always been down. Is it working now?
Silent Hill has had
So many things.
so many issues. It's when we got it, it had a damaged screen.
Well, you mean like the burn-in was bad, or what else?
Well, the actual screen was damaged when
Okay.
we got it.
Okay.
We had it shipped in from Japan, and the front of it was actually cracked. So we managed to get that replaced, and it ran for a good chunk of time until it developed a twofold problem of the game starting to crash, and then people were starting to damage the guns.
The guns took so much abuse.
Yeah.
Like one was literally just ripped clean off the machine, right?
Those are the kicker guns?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So those, literally, we picked up a brand new machine, not brand new, but new to us,
Mm-hmm.
and swapped out. The guns were, it had one bad gun and one very nice gun. We put it all together, and then within less than 3 weeks,
Yeah, it was like 2 weeks.
there was 2 weeks
Yeah.
that somebody ripped one of the guns completely off.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other gun kicker, somebody ripped that off a couple weeks later. And then it started developing the freezing issue that the other one had. So it's a problematic machine. That and Castlevania. We are, I think that's on your list now, isn't it?
They're
Like,
both
we
on
had-
my list.
Yes.
They're on the list I give you every day.
I ignore them.
We had, so I think part of it will be helped by adding some more cooling, and then I know you're working on a solution for the gun kicker.
It's a solution that if you pull hard enough, you'll still break it, though.
Sure. But we've seen so many games like Left 4 Dead, which was another,
Very problematic originally.
yeah.
Not now.
Not now.
No, you came up with an excellent solution that has.
They should have done it when they manufactured it, but they didn't.
How frustrating is it to see like so many of the problems with the manufacturing side?
It's not unusual. It's a lot of it is cost driven, I'm sure. If they can do it right and it costs $2 more and they're making 1,000 games, they do it cheaper. Not everybody. And pinball is pretty much immune to that, except that one game.
Is it a game you can't say because it's...
No.
Oh, okay.
Well, I'm not going to say it. You say it.
At Pinball?
Yeah.
The game that's down often,
Uh-huh.
starting with a P?
Uh-huh.
Why can't you say that word?
I don't know. Why can't you say that?
Because you're going to yell at me. I don't do that.
No.
Predator.
Predator.
Yeah.
Of course. Of course.
Now I go to jail. It's not going to be possible to make that game 100% reliable like a Valley or Sterna. It's just terrible design and terribly constructed. So you do your best.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you're very meticulous in how you repair machines, and I know it's definitely, with the amount of games that are at the Galloping Ghost Arcade, just the speed of fix something and onto the next and fix something onto the next. And we've got machines in various conditions. I know when we opened, it was there was our first batch of machines was 114 machines, and only 8 of them turned on. So it was, we got to open as quickly as possible.
Were you here for that?
No.
No?
You started?
Shortly after
No, it was 4 years,
that. Oh, I don't know.
4 or 5 years in, I would say.
I'm so old.
4 years, that's a short amount
So
of
old I
time.
don't remember this.
It's what? How do you balance it all? Like, how do you balance the like working on so many machines at once?
My rule is if we have 10 games down, if in one day I can get 6 working, I do that. If the one other game is going to take 3 months to fix, I don't harp on it and stick on it till it's fixed. I try to do the, sort of like when the utility company loses power. If they can do one repair and they put 1 million homes back online, and then there's 2 homes, that's going to take days and days. You do the most games that you can in the shortest amount of time for numbers in the arcade, so people complain. And then at home I have stuff where I've had it for months. There's a game, it took me years to fix. We figured out, you know what that is, of course.
Which one? Oh, turkey shoot. Turkey shoot.
But in fixing that, there's another game like Inferno that's so similar. Once I learn all that and make notes and get it fixed, it makes it so much easier to fix the other ones.
So we have a question from Joel on Facebook. Are the holograms like time traveler hard to maintain?
It's not a hologram.
Well, it's a
all
reflection.
All it is a concave mirror,
Yeah.
plastic mirror, with a regular CRT, a regular monitor that reflects on this to give you the simulation. It's not a hologram. It's a regular game.
Well, they call it the Hala, whatever. But
it's
you know what
not.
he means. It's the time traveler in the Holosseum game. I remember time traveler used to have issues before we got the Dexter on it, right?
Yeah, that one, most of our laser discs, with the exception of
Cliffhanger.
no,
No,
Cliffhanger's
Oh, it is?
Cliffhanger's actually.
Cobra Command
Oh yeah, that's what I meant.
is the only actively running Laserdisc. Well, we can't say that one.
That's true.
It's the Dexters have helped so much with the Laserdisc games. And we have worked on games like Star Rider, which had so many problematic points.
It was horrible. There's 7 logic boards all having to talk to each other and talk to the Laserdisc player or Dexter, and troubleshooting it is hard. That's a one-off, isn't it? There's nothing else like that. As far as the system, just like that.
That was the only game that used that board set for sure.
Right.
And what would you say of all the games that we've brought you has been the most challenging?
There's a lot.
Mhm.
I don't know.
We had a question on Facebook, just if we had these following games: Rastan, Haley's Comet, and Rygar. And yes, we have actually all 3 of those. Adrian asked that on Facebook. But yes, we have all 3. Come on out and play them.
Rastan, we actually have all 3 of the Rastan games.
Yeah.
Rastan Saga 2, and
Nastar.
Warrior Blade.
What's Rastan Saga 2? Is that
Not-
Nastar Warrior?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And Warrior Blade,
Mhm.
the dual monitor. Such an awesome game when they changed it to be more like a Golden Axe style.
Mhm.
Haley's Comet that was our first game that had a world record
Set.
set by Matt Rocco.
Mhm.
So, is there a board set that you've gone from dreading working on and just through the consistency of seeing the boards?
Well, the Cinematronics world is like that. It's miserable. It's hard to fix. The parts are difficult to find, and the way they do things, that was primitive. It was right at the beginning. It
Was that Mach 3? Is that a Cinematronics?
No.
What game is that?
Mach 3 has got
Yeah.
Gottlieb. Oh, okay.
It's like
Milestone.
Solar
Mil-
Quest and
Oh, okay, okay.
Star
Star Castle.
Star Castle. And it's, once you get them working, and I get them working, they stay working. But they're really hard to fix.
Mhm.
The fact that they're Cinematronics and they're XY. So you've got 2 troublesome situations. And that XY monitor is unlike anything else. It's unlike any of the other XYs at all. And the power transistors aren't available. They're just not available. So you make do and you search and you find. It is a challenge, and it's really fun here.
Do you have any resources that you've consulted? Is there like an online technicians forum that you, or a master book that you look for your answers?
No, and if I do find something, they're usually wrong. You've seen that.
Oh,
You
sure.
see a schematic where they say a certain wire color, a certain part, and it's wrong. So I try to figure things out on my own. I do have sources for help in getting parts sometimes.
But you don't like to rely on the research of others, is what you're saying?
It's usually wrong.
Okay.
Somebody had a post on how to make the Geo 8 monitors reliable, and it's wrong. It's just wrong. So I don't bother with it. It sounds right until you do it and you realize, hey, this is not going to work.
Fair enough. It's a good reason to not listen.
No. People ask me, and I'm not selfish, and I help. I help people, but I'm pretty busy.
I know you're not a gamer much, but
What's the opposite of a gamer?
A technician. No. We had a question in our Facebook stream. Question for all three of us. What is your favorite game and why? Since you're not a gamer, you should go first.
I can play Miss Pac-Man for a little while.
Turbo or regular?
Regular. Oh, come on. That's too hard, Turbo.
Turbo's easier.
No. Regular for about 5 or 6 minutes, and then I don't like it.
Okay.
It's too hard. Games are too difficult for me.
Back here next.
There's too many games.
All time.
Of all time, I usually say Narc.
That was your first cabinet you
That
bought?
was the first arcade game I ever bought for my house, and our version that we have at the arcade has an unreleased level that was
That's
given
right.
to us by industry legend George Petro. So, and you?
It moves. It goes back and forth. Right now, might be Shinobi.
Really?
Yeah, Shinobi's way up there. Super Contra's way up there. I don't know. Kind of depends on how I'm feeling.
Final Rage?
Primal Rage is up there. It's definitely top 10, possibly top 5.
I've
Yeah.
never played any of those.
Shinobi's simple.
I play a game after I fix it for about a minute to make sure controls, etc. work, and then that's it.
That's all you need to do, right?
They frustrate me. I don't. It's too difficult.
What, as the years go by and parts are becoming harder and harder to find, like obviously you've got your stockpile. And
A lot.
I've seen so many people freaking out about
CRTs.
CRTs running out. What's something that you worry about that this is going to be a component that people aren't really expecting that is going to be gone?
Not including custom chips, because that's a whole different world.
Sure.
Custom chips, if
They're
they're
already
gone,
gone, right?
if you can't find one, they're gone. Sometimes people smarter than me and smarter than all of us,
They can reverse engineer it, right?
to a point.
Yeah.
Sometimes. What's that Star Trek type game that this custom chip was?
Oh, on Monster Bash.
Monster Bash.
Mhm.
It takes years, and the guy can figure it out. Or the suicide games.
Mhm.
For a long time, when they were dead, they were dead.
Yeah, that was just a year or two ago. They figured out that de-suicide.
There's 3 different ways of doing it, depending on the game, and someone really smart figured it out. So the games are back
That's great.
in operation. Transistors are starting to be a problem, but in Japan, and you look around, you find some, no one has any, and then you find someone's got 100.
Mhm.
So you buy them. CRTs, we seem to have plenty.
Yeah, I just walked past there, and there's a whole table full of them. So
Going down to the warehouse, there's a giant room of them. And then behind Gamma, there's so many more. So it's the knowledge base of where the concern lies. For me, it's always like stuff with like XY monitors has always been like for so long. The concern about like where are you going to find an XY? We've been so big on building up cabinets and using conversions. XYs were always one that where are you going to find that XY monitor?
You don't.
And it's not like a newer game where if the original monitor goes, we can convert Mortal Kombat 4 to a LCD if absolutely necessary. You can't do that with an XY, can you?
Well, yes. But
You can.
yes, you can, but it's not good.
Yeah, plus it loses that phosphor glow that the XYs are known for.
And the crispness.
Yeah.
Plus the XYs, you can have diagonal lines. If you notice, you get a diagonal line.
It's like a zigzag, right?
No, in XY, you get a diagonal line.
Right.
In the rasters, it's a tiny little
It's a zigzag,
Because
yeah.
they can't, the way it works, you can't do that.
Right.
So that's why that picture's so nice on those.
Yeah.
That Eliminator, that's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Real nice. And Havoc is nice.
For people who are trying to get into the tech world, like what's the first tool set that they should get? Like what do you need to be a tech?
Tools or knowledge?
Tool-wise.
Soldering iron.
soldering pencil,
Mhm.
not an iron. Soldering pencil, the desolderer, a good VOM,
What's a VOM?
a volt ohm meter. The
You
yellow
mean a
meters
meter?
produce-
Multimeter?
It's called a VOM.
Okay. Well, I don't know. I'm not a tech.
Volt ohm. Good scope. I have a dual trace at home, an old CRT scope. It's fantastic. It cost me, I think, $5 at a antique mall,
Mhm.
sitting in a corner. And then I have a solid state one that's pretty good for portable use. And then usual hand tools. And pinball's a different world. My
Mhm.
van is full of about 6,000 pinball parts, kickers and coils, but there aren't that many parts in these games. So pinball's a whole different world.
Is there any advice you'd give to someone saying if they're not sure what to do, would you definitely don't do this? Like don't shock yourself on a monitor.
If you don't know what you're doing, don't do it.
Just don't do it.
Just don't do it, or find someone that can help you,
Don't test your luck.
and don't touch the red wire.
But there's so few amazing techs out there. Like you said, there's information online. Like you can download a schematic in a book,
Which is nice.
but that information can be wrong.
Not so much the manufacturer's manuals. They're usually pretty close.
Sometimes, like
You-
there's chassis that have screened caps backwards.
That's right.
It's how can you, where do you go to get the right knowledge?
Sometimes online, sometimes in my library. I have a library of probably 3,000 manuals, mostly pinball, and the rest are monitor schematics, and then some older stuff. But you look around and you ask people, the other guys in the business, I know a couple, they can't repair them, but they have them, and if they have a book, you do the same thing. You find someone that has it. And usually it's just sitting back and looking at it. Like this game over here, which I won't mention. When I get into it, well, I can't mention it, right?
No.
No, okay. I thought you hurt me. I sat back when it was first, and you just, for about 10 minutes, just look at it and see, okay, this does this goes here, this goes here. What is this supposed to do? And that polygon game,
Mhm.
what's that called?
The one we can't also mention?
No, the one that's there already up.
Polygonic Commanders.
No, Starblade.
Starblade. That's extremely, that could be the most complicated board set we have here. It's a polygon-based image generation system,
Mhm.
and it was a project, but it's fine.
So you said you sometimes collaborate. Now I've seen this happen with some techs where they butt heads.
Oh, no.
Some techs don't like other techs' work, and I've kind of heard that through the industry.
Well, I don't like other techs' work if it's lousy work. But if they know what they're doing and they're trying to fix stuff, that's fine. But so many times I'll get a board that's butchered.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's just people prying things and burning things. And then you spend 3/4 of the time fixing their
Mistakes.
mistakes before you can even fix the board.
Right.
And I don't like that. I'd say if you don't know what you're doing, don't do it.
Don't do it. Ask someone that does. We've got a question. What are the most common issues you see at Galloping Ghost? Control panels, power supplies, wiring, board, PCB, monitors. I'll let you both handle that.
Everything.
It's all of it.
All of it.
It's
Not so much wiring. If it works and the wiring is intact, not so much wiring. But connectors, logic boards, power supplies are a big one. CRTs, of course. Control panels, but that's all just simple stuff.
It's been an interesting last few weeks, and it happened almost maybe going on 3 years ago now, where there was just a flood of tubes just hitting that mark where you can't rejuvenate them anymore.
I think you saw it on Game Ground where you tried to rejuvenate that and just kept working on it.
Oh, we were blasting that thing.
There's 2 or 3 over there that are not real swift.
Yeah, and fortunately we can salvage a chassis. We just did a tube swap on Vendetta. So it's a
What's-
never-ending.
What's nice is out of all the parts in the game, the monitor is the least game-specific part.
Yeah.
Logic boards, you can't swap so much. Control panels, a little bit depending what's wrong. Power supplies, you can, mostly. But the XY games use a different power supply, so you have another problem there.
I know you've had, obviously you are all over the industry. You fix stuff at Wisconsin Dells and house calls for everybody.
For people.
What is some of the, do you have a standout repair call that you did that was so, just kind of, that sticks in your mind?
Yes, but you won't believe me if I tell you. You guys will not believe me.
Oh.
I was not by myself. I have a witness. It was in Mount Prospect, around Randhurst Shopping Mall. This has got to be 10, 12 years ago. It was the jukebox they wanted fixed.
Yeah.
So does this have to be video? It can be anything.
Whatever you want.
Whatever you want.
So I knocked on the door, and the lady opened the door. There were 5 or 6 people. The husband had just died. So they wanted it fixed for their gathering. So I walked in the door, introduced myself, and I heard music coming from the basement. And I thought, what's going on? So they were just suddenly completely quiet. Completely quiet. And I said, what's going on? She said, I hear music. Someone's downstairs, someone plugged it in, who knows? So I go downstairs, they would not come down with me. And again, I wasn't by myself, I had Enos with me, a friend that works on some of the games with me. And I walked halfway down the stairs, the music stopped. I thought, So I got into the basement, and there's no one down there. The machine is unplugged, and the cord is draped over it. And the mechanism was stopped on the song that we were listening to.
Weird.
Just spooked me. I said, wow.
Did you run?
No, I can't get paid if I run. So I called the lady down, and she wouldn't come down. And it was her husband's favorite song, and it could not have worked because it was unplugged. And the little CPU that runs the jukebox was bad, so it couldn't have worked anyway.
Interesting.
Oh,
That is spooky.
there's something to that other world, but that's not what this discussion is here. That stands out. I fixed it, and I had it working. As I came up, she's crying. She says, "Oh, I can't believe it, you fixed it." And I said, "Yes, I did, but I can't explain what happened." She says, "I can. It was him." So I thought, okay, that is the strangest service call ever.
Wow.
So
What?
never happened here.
No.
Walk in and find that game working and it's unplugged.
I had, back early when we opened, I had somebody who was working here was supposed to be changing a marquee light. Not a tech, but they were just changing a marquee light. Said they couldn't explain it, and asked, they had like plugged it in, and it was showing Space Invaders in the Centipede cabin.
What?
I'm listening.
Well, it was clearly
Well, that's
human error
Well, that's
of
it.
some sort.
that's impossible. Except
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
spookiness, that's impossible.
Yeah.
What I saw was impossible too, but we witnessed it. It was impossible. It was unplugged.
What, again, so repairing things
Oh yeah.
has been, there's always those hazards, whether it be something like that.
It's not a hazard. It's just.
I wouldn't want to deal with that.
It's
That's
just
a hazard.
interesting. You would run out of the house.
I don't know. Maybe.
Have you ever, obviously, working with hands, your hands are going to get all
Dirty.
dirty, cut up,
Not so
What's
much cut up, but dirty. What's the worst thing that ever happened to me?
Yeah.
The first monitors I worked on was 77,000. 40 years ago, 30 years ago, I wasn't paying attention. I was on the bench, and I wasn't paying attention, and I hit the second hand of it. I was unconscious on the ground.
Oh, no.
Oh yeah. I used to have straight hair. Now look what happened.
Oh, man.
That was not good. It didn't kill me. I believe someone else had that experience.
It knocked you right out, though.
Oh yeah. I was probably unconscious 10, 15 seconds, and a big black hole burns in my finger.
Wow.
So never did that again. I'm
Yeah.
always careful.
Even being careful, you can.
Yeah, you make it's honest mistakes.
But
Yeah.
that mistake can kill you.
Right.
Other mistakes are not good, but that can kill you. So when I usually wear a wristband, a grounded wristband, which helps a lot. So if I got zapped, it would just go in my hand and then out the wrist strap.
It wouldn't travel through your heart and or head or whatever.
No,
Yeah.
that's the point, right?
Yeah.
You're wearing that. But you just be careful,
Yeah.
and again, don't make things worse. I burned a lady's carpet once about 40 years ago. I set my soldering gun down on this big white plush carpet, and I smelled something. I thought, what is that?
Lady, you got a cat?
It just melted a big glob of the carpet together.
So we have a few questions
Yes.
here.
Never did that again.
Adrian asks on Facebook, I think I can answer your first question. First, what game is this? The small spaceship shooting everything on sight, and all of a sudden this big white demon face comes chasing you. That's Sinistar, if I had to say. Second game is a robot that transforms into a jet fighter. That could be one of a few things. It could be like Robo UFO Dangar.
Dangar, yeah.
I don't know. It could be a couple of different ones.
Yeah, that's most likely it.
Yeah.
UFO, Dangar, UFO, Robo.
Yep. So those are my guesses. Prestige in Twitch asks, Ghosts and Goblins, what is the original monitor? Do you know what the original monitor is?
The brand?
Who knows?
It's just 19-inch raster.
Yeah,
It's-
it's whatever.
Whatever they used.
Yeah, whatever came in the cabinet.
Well, they weren't always the same.
Even
The
for
production runs.
Really?
No, I've seen different monitors in games.
Those, it was a standard dynamo cabinet,
Oh,
so it was probably a Wells, but what model?
I don't know.
Is there, how often are you still learning?
Oh, that's a dumb question all the time. Oh, not a dumb question.
Doc doesn't
Sorry.
ask dumb questions.
Sorry. It's an easy question to answer. Almost all the time. Not, if I have to fix a Miss Pac-Man board, I'm not learning it. But everything, you don't give me easy stuff here.
No.
And I'm always learning something. Or looking at I make copious notes about what I fix. So if I have the same problem later on, I don't have to figure it out again. Sorry, it wasn't a dumb question. All the time. Never stop learning.
Are you, games like Ms. Pac-Man and Pac-Man, and you must have fixed hundreds and hundreds,
Yes.
and you can probably fix those in your sleep. Like, do those just become like old hat, and
That's right.
do you not, do you still enjoy repairing them?
I enjoy what I do, but it usually takes a half hour. I'm not taking weeks to fix stuff like here, and there's no custom parts. There's nothing weird about it. And unless it's completely burned or hacked, it's pretty simple. It's a pretty simple board. There's others that are like that too. Galaxian. That's another one I fixed so many of. It's the custom parts and this newer stuff, that surface mount, those big custom surface mount, you can't test them.
Yeah.
And you can't just replace it to see if it works. And there's multi-layer boards, those are getting to be troublesome. There's connections, it's a sandwich and there's a connection. There's
The ribbon between them?
no, there's 3 layers of boards,
Oh.
all sandwiched together. And when you take stuff out, if you wreck that center connection, you're done.
There's a few questions for you,
Go
Doug.
ahead.
Krell asks, would you be okay with being filmed as you fix things so people could learn from you? Maybe have short videos about how to fix things that you did before. Do you mind being filmed?
The only reason that would make any sense would be control panels and placing power supplies. Fixing boards, it would be a 2, 3, 4 hour video,
Mhm.
and I don't think it would make it wouldn't help anybody.
Yeah, unless it was like a sped up video. You know how they do those instructionals where it's like sped up. People can see the whole thing come together. And I know a lot of times you'll just trace logic and it takes a while.
The biggest thing that helps me are the memory maps. On these games that are out there or one-offs, there are maps of what each chip does and what signals are supposed to go in and out. That's the only way I can fix some of this stuff. If you don't have that, which we don't for some of them, it's really hard. It's really hard to do. But I don't know if a video would help anybody. Do you?
I think so. Like there's so many things. Again, there's so few people that fix stuff well, and that having the more information out there, in my mind, the better. There's so many problems that, as we've got so many rare and unusual boards, somebody else that manages to come across that same board, they're gonna, if they run into the same problem and don't have access to somebody with your vast experience, like they're going to hit a dead end, and in that point, that game would be seemingly lost.
Well, we don't want that. I would never be selfish and do something like that. That doesn't make sense.
Todd asks, with the exception of vector monitors, are most monitors in arcade games interchangeable, or are they brand model specific?
They are not brand and model specific for the most part. There's size, there's a couple different sizes, but that's about it.
I know when it comes to slightly newer games, or they go to medium res games, you can't use a standard res game on a medium res game, and you don't want to do that, right?
You can use a standard res logic board on a medium res monitor.
Right.
You can step it down, but you can't go the other way.
Can't go the other way, right.
Did you know that?
Well, the chassis and yokes of the monitors, like even vectors, like they were so. I've known some other techs that didn't even realize that the tubes are all the same.
They're not. They're not. People think so. If you look at, for instance, what's the XY when you walk in down the arcade on the left? That's been there forever and it works great. What's that one?
Tempest.
Yes. The Tempest monitor is different than the other monitor, the other tubes. It's a 90-degree mask instead of a 130-degree mask. You've heard that.
There's
It is different.
some,
Yes.
but many, like the Star Wars, for example.
Well, they're the same.
Right.
But there are a couple that are not the same.
So just the odd exception.
That's about all I can think of.
Yeah.
The scan rates and all that, that's determined by the monitor board, not the tube itself.
Right. So in changing the yoke and the chassis.
Like we did on that game, and it works fine.
Yep.
And if it's the wrong yoke, you can burn the chassis too.
Yes.
Cool.
That,
That's about all I had for you, Doug. Is there any other questions you had for Doug?
For pinball.
We didn't talk much about pinball, did we?
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
where the silver ball rolls all over.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hopefully downward.
That's true.
Except in haunted house.
Or except in outer space.
It rolls just wherever it wants.
Have you ever broke glass on a pinball machine?
Playfield glass?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. One.
I think everyone has. It's a
Wow.
rite of passage.
One time.
You've charged static enough on one that someone else broke it because of you then.
It was in a store in Addison. They used to sell pinball games, and it was catacombs. You ever seen that? Ever heard of it? I was pulling the playfield glass out, and there was a steel pole behind me, and I wasn't watching, and in the door walks a Michael Jackson impersonator. He looks just like, so I looked up, wow, and I pulled the glass out right into the pole, and it shattered into my hands.
Right into a million pieces.
Oh, just little balls. And that's the only one I've ever broken. I've never broken the back box glass, because that would be bad for me to detect.
For sure.
I've never broken one, because you're careful. That's the only playfield glass I've broken.
Is there any game out there that could be lost due to parts not being available?
Oh, sure.
I think there's a lot of games that could happen too.
Mostly custom chips on the Logic.
Didn't we almost lose Mr. Viking? Wasn't that one that was
Yes. That was an interesting problem getting that that chip. We were very fortunate in getting that, and there's been so many, even games like
Well, I
Diecast.
burned it. You got me
Yeah.
the file.
I got the file, and
We were able to figure out. I figured out which chip it was, and Doc got the file and burned it in. And I think a couple tries it didn't work, and then it does.
yeah,
So now, if it ever happens again, it's easy to fix.
there's so much efforts going into MAME to help the preservation of all these arcade games. So chips being backed up that otherwise we would lose all that information. And I remember Daikaiju no Gakushuyu
Was it the monster?
that was
Giant Monster Counterattack?
was that
Was it Monster
Giant
Counter?
Monster
Counterattack?
Counterattack.
Yeah.
That was missing a chip, and we had to. The data was backed up on MAME from our board set, but the custom chip had to be sacrificed to get that data off of it.
That's right.
So and that was
That was a close call.
yeah.
That was a close call. I was studying it. I figured out what I thought the chip would be and how to put the information in it. And you found the information.
Mhm.
And after a couple of tries, it worked. And the beauty is, again, once you figure it out, I don't have to figure it out again.
As long as you write it down.
Oh.
What are your favorite pins to work on? You get a question. And
I like
good
it.
shit.
Early 70s Bailey. Star Trek Strikes and Spares, that whole, because they are so simple and so fun. They're fun to play.
Do you play pinball?
I like it. I'm quite good at it. I have 11 in my basement.
Do you really? I didn't know that.
I could maybe get a belt on pinball, but I don't want to. I want to just fix them. No.
Okay. Not be a champion?
No, it takes too much time.
Does?
And I guess pinball is 40% luck. That's what I've heard.
I think it's less luck than that. I think it's more skill.
I've seen so many players that have. They call their shots every shot.
Mhm.
They take all the luck out of it. It's just like, I'm gonna shoot here.
There's probabilities of certain things happening, and it's just being prepared for those chance things happening. It's like playing a fighting game against another human. You have to know what your options are against each situation, and if you know that, you'll always be ready.
I like all the games. I fixed a Jersey Jack.
Mhm.
You know those games.
Mhm.
Wizard of Oz. That's a potential problem in the future. That's a computer-based game. And as long as the company's in business, we're okay. If a decade from now they're gone, and the motherboard or hard drive fails and there aren't backups, you're going to have trouble with that.
Mhm.
Is there a MAME for pinballs, a type of program where people save this data? So
Yeah, all the ROM
Preservations?
data gets backed up,
Okay.
and the people doing the preservation have stepped up so much. Again, with emulation, there's always things that are missed, and like the general way emulation works, it just kind of forces it to work. It doesn't make sure that it's all perfect by any means. So it's best to use it for what MAME's original intent was, where it was meant for techs to just be able to go and fix stuff.
Mhm.
But yeah, everything gets backed up and preserved, including artwork. I know there's people that scan playfields and backbox art. And,
They save them as, PNG files, and then that's just there for people that need it.
yeah.
That's good.
And that's all legal?
For restoration,
I'm sure you just can't
It's-
scan it and then sell it if the company's still around.
right. So many of the companies aren't.
Yeah.
There are places like Namco will defend their stuff, Nintendo will defend their stuff.
We got a question. What is the real story on pinball playfield quality and surface issues? New releases versus old school.
They're all wood, and they're silk screened. All the games, at least till mid-2000s, they're silk screened on wood, and they're all the same. The newer ones are a sticker. They're Mylar.
Oh.
I think he's referring to like games, some of the newer games experience a lot of like dimpling.
Oh, with the label or with the
Um,
in the surface?
yeah, it's just from the ball hitting it and leaving little marks.
That doesn't happen with the old wood playfields, though.
Interesting.
It's a good quality wood, whatever they use, and it wasn't. There were some Bally games, a Nitro Ground Shaker, where they used plastic playfields. You've never seen it, I'm sure.
I've not.
It was just 2 or 3 games. It was a brown plastic playfield, silk screen, and it was awesome. It's completely flat, and it plays great. But it was too expensive.
Cool. That's about all I got for you, Doug. Do you have anything? Do you want to tell people how they can reach you if they need a repair in the area? What is your repair area? Where will you go for repairs?
Any place except downtown Chicago. I won't go into the city.
You'll go out of state, Indiana, Wisconsin, all that?
Wisconsin, yes. Indiana, maybe.
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 What about Iowa?
Maybe. But Chicago is just not worth it. Driving in the parking and the traffic. Probably the best way is contact Doc, and he can get a hold of me.
Do you want to give out your own shop number or no?
708-308-5743.
Ask for Doug?
No, it's my phone. If someone else answers.
If anyone else answers, then you're in trouble.
So that's and there's pretty much nothing that I can't fix. Some of the custom stuff, it's bad. It's really bad. But
Do you prefer a challenge or something that you can just knock out of the park?
both.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff you give me though, it's inferno. It took me a year.
Yeah.
To figure out what is supposed to happen and what wasn't happening. But it works. And it's been fine for how long? Years?
It's been solid for a year.
Yeah, you would know, you make the list.
Mhm.
That's right. So either one. The simple stuff is nice because it comes in, I fix it, and it's gone. And the other stuff, you have to do it little bits here and there.
Just whittle away at it.
And remember what you did, though.
Right.
If you walk away from it and go, oh, where was I?
Yeah. That's a waste of time then.
So I try not to. This is very interesting, and Doc's done a great job of putting this place together and maintaining it. It's just,
Thank you.
it's awesome. It's just awesome.
Thank you. Appreciate that. We have another question.
Prestige, is it the troubleshooting or the completion that makes your day? What gives you that sense of,
Well, troubleshooting doesn't make my day at all because it's not fixed.
right,
And I can't complete it till I troubleshoot it.
it's just a step along the way?
Yeah, troubleshooting is a step to the completion. I never complete something without figuring out what's wrong.
Unless you got lucky.
Yeah.
Not with this stuff. The board sets are so complicated. And it's not like a pneumatic system where there's a compressor, an air tank, and a valve.
Mhm.
If something fails, it's one of the three. Electronics aren't like that.
It could be many different things.
Everything does everything, and everything's talking to everything else. What was that last game where all those Rams were bad? I just gave it. Is it? Can we talk about that?
No.
We can't.
We can't.
Okay. There was a board that he gave me where there were 24 chips, all bad. They were all bad.
Doug's working on a lot of our stuff that we have, in the vaults coming soon, possibly, so. He can't mention a few things, so we
See, I was
apologize
smart.
about that.
I was smart. I didn't say anything.
I had to think of what game that was.
I would have had to cut the stream immediately if you said the name of the game.
10-second
Delay.
Oh yes, I know which one it is.
Yeah.
And that's, you just do it. You just dig away, and if you're lucky, sometimes troubleshooting because it's bad traces, it's terrible. It's just terrible because it's not a part that's bad. It's the little tiny traces on the board that are bad. Not the old boards because they're big. The new stuff is hair thin.
Yeah. Multi-layer and
The worst is golden tape. That's the worst. As of right now, I can say confidently nobody in the entire world will fix a golden tape board. It's
Just
that,
wait 1 year and a new one will come out.
it's that bad.
Yeah.
It's that bad. Even
They've got to be common though, right? For a while they were coming out
They're-
very often.
there are definitely a lot of them out there. So, like, and it's even with games on the floor. Sometimes, well, we would never get rid of a board because it doesn't work. Sometimes it's quicker and cheaper to buy a replacement than to actually fix the board at that moment.
if you can.
If you can.
And there's been a couple times where I've had to destroy a board taking parts to make another one good.
Sure.
Not
Just
so
salvage
much.
it for parts.
Yes, sometimes. But I always ask you,
Sure.
and you say, do it.
Krell asks, your job sounds like a dream job. What are some things that you hate about the job since no job is the dream job?
Hate? I don't hate anything.
You don't hate any game?
No, I don't. He says, what do I hate about my job? Isn't that what it says?
Yeah.
No, nothing. Some things are more unpleasant, like the XYs.
XYs.
I don't hate them. I'd rather never fix one again, but
Some of those controls where you gotta take out 100 little screws. Well, I'm sensing some hate.
but you just
Just deal with it.
Like the grid.
Hmm.
Those controllers, it's ridiculous. Or those guns.
Which guns?
The big guns, and you have to take out 60 screws to get the
To
gun,
get around the perimeter of it, yeah.
and then you take it apart and stuff falls out.
Yeah. Where did that go? Probably doesn't need it.
Sometimes not.
Spare parts.
And dealing with bad, poorly engineered stuff, that's not so fun either. Look what we did. Can we mention for the firefighters?
You just did.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. No, the conversion that we did on that.
Yeah. Sure.
The original, it's a water nozzle on a hose that electronically you shoot water on fires. Well, people yank on them, pull on them, and we had 2 or 3 that are broken. So we modified, put them on a swivel base so you can still play the game, but you can't yank on the hose. And we never have to worry about it again.
Hopefully.
Yeah, unless
Not
someone
as
like
You
sits on
can't. You
it.
can't say
No.
you never, because then somebody will come in.
Yeah, someone will take it as a challenge.
It
Yeah.
greatly increases the reliability.
Absolutely.
That's all I can say.
Yeah.
And the manufacturer should have done something like that, but they didn't.
People are asking for a website or an email.
DOU, is that it?
I have your website.
That's it.
ArcadeMachineRepair.com.
That's right.
It's a good URL to have.
Yeah.
That's my name.
That's your name?
And as of the end of this summer, no more Wisconsin Dells. I've been going there every 2 weeks for 25 years to fix all the stuff in the arcades.
Not anymore?
He sold all the buildings, and they're putting up other stuff there, so no more.
Oh.
There's an auction. I don't think you're interested in redemption stuff, though. And that's it.
Adrian asking, what games would you guys consider to be the holy grail of arcade games?
That's your world.
That's a personal thing.
Yeah, there's definitely a few that are, like Primal Rage 2 was considered for a long time to be a holy grail.
Once you get one of your grails, is it still a grail once you have it?
Yeah, I would.
Okay.
As more of them surface, like when we put Primorage 2 on the floor, there's only one other board. And since then, I think there's
A few more, yeah.
There's been 2 others that have surfaced for a total of 4. But it's still, it does really depend on where you're coming from. It's so funny when we've asked similar questions, or I've seen people ask similar questions on Facebook, and people are like, "Oh, my holy grail is a centipede cabinet," and it's like, yeah, we're talking about different things.
Yeah.
Something that somebody genuinely just
Wants.
wants,
Yeah.
versus
Something that's literally the needle in the haystack, diamond in the rough that you may see once in your lifetime.
right.
That's what I consider a holy grail to be.
How many games do we have that there's only one? There's a bunch.
Yeah, there's a dozen or so at the arcade.
It's the only one.
One at Pinball.
Mhm.
Pinball, definitely a
Mhm.
different collecting field. Prestige asking, do you have a favorite pinball game to play or to fix?
Daddy East, Star Trek 25th anniversary.
Do you like to play it or fix it?
I don't have to fix it because it's mine. It works. I still love playing it. There's a hologram of the crew, Kirk and Spock, and they beam up in the back glass.
Oh, nice.
It's so much fun. That's what my favorite game is to play.
Nice.
Normally, we wrap up our show with Pete. What are you going to be playing?
I think next I will be playing. I don't know. I might go play some Vigilante or Moon Shuttle, or maybe I'll try TNK3 again.
Do you like Hubert?
It's alright. Not my favorite, but do you?
You like it?
I love it.
I like it, but I can't play it. It's too hard.
If you, since you're not, I won't ask you what you're going to be playing. What are you going to be fixing next?
I can't mention it.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Right.
Oh, so if I mention it, then I get hurt.
Something.
Then I get hurt. I have 2 I'm working on right now, which one is terrible and one's not too terrible, and I can't mention either one.
Well, I'm going to be. I've got to finish the Vendetta monitor, and get down and fix Psychic Force 2012, and then I think I'm going to play Timber.
Nice.
It's fun.
Great game.
Was that ever a real game, or was that just a conversion?
The factory cabinet was converted Tapper cabinet.
It was. There was no Timber game cabinet.
Well, the dedicated was the Tapper cabinet,
Right.
and they just put the
New art on
sticker,
it. Yeah.
the lumberjack over the bartender. So, unless you had anything else you wanted to add?
No, it's just a pleasure. It's a great field. It's a pleasure working with these guys, and I hope to be here for at least another week.
Sitting right here for a week?
I don't want to do that.
There is definitely no shortage. There's definitely job security here.
It'll be impossible to get completely caught up.
That's not true.
But when
It's
I,
700.
When you had 700 machines exactly, every game was
704.
working.
But
Every
when
game
I-
was working.
But when I walk out and come back, you've got other stuff on the list that was okay before and it's not now.
You should have
If
fixed
nothing
it better.
ever
No.
failed, I could make some progress.
Uh,
But you like making those lists, don't you?
I have to.
I know you do.
I have to.
Otherwise, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Come in the morning and there's my list.
I think that will wrap it up for today. Thank you so much to former Game of the Year Pete Hahn and our very special guest, Master Tech Doug Fox.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Doc Mack from the Galloping Ghost Arcade. Thank you all for joining us, and we hope to see you around the arcade soon. Thanks a lot, everybody.
Yep. Thanks for listening. See you.